All right, moving on to the third team here in our Pac-12 preview. And this one, I've actually became really interested in this one when I started researching it and getting ready for this show. And that's the USC Trojans. First of all, Andy Enfield has been with this team for a decade now. That's wild. I didn't expect that it'd already be 10 years. It just, right? I didn't expect that to happen. But when you look at the preseason rankings, they didn't make the AP top 25 or the coaches poll. Okay, understandable, get it. But the Torvik ranking 40th, KenPom 36, that's pretty decent. Okay, not bad, just outside. But you look at where that ranks them in the Pac-12. The Torvik ranking is 5th in the Pac-12. 5th. USC is 5th. And then for KenPom, they're 4th. So we're talking them as our third team right now. And not many people agree. I think this is going to be a really fun team. I'm looking forward to seeing what USC can do. I do think that this is a squad that really can do some work. I think that this is a squad that could be as low as 6. Don't get me wrong, but I could see them battling for that third spot. I do think that it's a 1-2 punch at the top between UCLA and Arizona, and then there is going to be a little bit of a drop. Nothing too crazy, but there is going to be a little bit of a drop. They had a very strong NCAA season last year, but I guess what you could say in this case, the reason why people are so low on USC or giving them maybe the benefit of being 5th or 4th in those rankings, because they're really only bringing back 2 significant guys in Drew Peterson and Boogie Ellis. What's your thoughts on USC?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Boogie Ellis, because when he transferred in from Memphis last year, it was apparent from the first tick of the clock that he was the leader. He was the guy that was going to be the heartbeat of this Trojan team. When you pair him up with a 6'9" guard, and LA in general has had a history of 6'9" guards. I'm not saying that he's Magic Johnson. I'm not going there. Okay. I'm not that crazy. I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy. But Peterson, not only is he a matchup problem at 6'9" and a guard, but you can move him all around, even within a game. You can move him to the 3. You can move him to the 4. You know, he's a good rebounder. I think he led the team in assists last year. You know, I mean, he does everything. He's just so athletic, and he's so aware of what's going on the court around him. Right off the bat, that puts USC in every game. You know, and all of you out there are going to get sick of us throughout the year. It's more me than Christian saying guard play, guard play, guard play. But that's what you have to.
I said it first on this show.
But you really do have to watch that come tournament time. Conference tournaments, maybe even more important than in the NCAA tournament. But still, you have to have consistent scoring, consistent defense. Not a whole lot of turnovers coming out of your backcourt if you want to have any kind of decent run in any tournament that you're in. I think what's going to make the Trojans tick, and I'm sure I'm going to mess up his name, and I even heard him pronounce it multiple times on the media day, and I'm still going to mess it up. But Vince Iwuchukwu, I think is how you pronounce it. He's a 5-star recruit. As he goes and as he develops, that's how far USC is going to go. You know, they've had to replace a lot of their front court players. If he can be consistent night in, night out, then USC is going to be consistent night in, night out, playing off of their guards, having some of the younger players come in. And it is amazing that Andy Enfield's been there for a decade. I was shocked at that too. Right. Maybe because every NCAA tournament, when they do like the little previews, you see Florida Gulf Coast and that amazing run that they had, you know. And I mean, I'm kind of, he's a Pennsylvania guy, and this is my adopted state, so I kind of gravitate, you know, to him and want to root for him. The great thing about Enfield is that not only did he have that Florida Gulf Coast run, he was an NBA assistant. He was with the Bucks for a couple of years. He had a nice run with the Celtics. When you're recruiting and trying to get people, whether it be through the transfer portal or trying to get these 4 and 5-star recruits, if you have a guy that knows what it takes to be successful in the NBA, that's a very underrated aspect. Usually you have that as your assistant, but to have that in your head coaching spot, a guy that's been, a successful assistant with some good NBA teams, these young kids are going to gravitate and they're going to listen to him because he can tell you not only this is how we're going to do to win this game, this is how we're going to get you so you can be successful to play, whether it be in the NBA or in the developmental league, or whether you're playing overseas. He knows how to turn you into a professional basketball player as well. And I think that's going to help USC continue to stay relevant. I don't know, because Arizona and UCLA are such traditional powers, if USC will ever be king of the roost in the Pac-12. But if let's say you're the third best team in the Pac-12, that's a pretty good line on your resume.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think, yeah, if they can find a way to make it to third, then they're in good standing. Like I said, I think that UCLA and Arizona are probably going to be, 3, 4 seeds in the NCAA tournament. If USC can find a way to be a nice, 5, 6, 7 seed, then you're doing pretty well as well. Looking at their schedule, they start their schedule out honestly pretty cake. Other than in really only one decently tough task in November against BYU. They really don't have anyone to bat an eye out until they take on Auburn a week before Christmas. There's a good chance that they could go almost to Christmas and be undefeated. I don't know if that happens, but there's a really good chance, or at least maybe a one loss if they lose to BYU at a neutral site. But this is a team that really could figure it out with what they have right off the bat without having too much of a worry. Like you just talked about Florida Gulf Coast. That's who they start off against on Monday the 7th. When you get into conference play, they have some fun conference play. Obviously, the way it's set up, I'm actually really excited to see how it goes. They don't see like teams like UCLA till the end of January. They don't see Arizona till the beginning of January, but they got them, almost back to back. Within a week. They're both one Thursday Arizona, the following Thursday UCLA. So they better be firing in all cylinders during that part of the month. So I feel like they're going to do pretty well in the Pac-12. I think most of their losses are going to come in conference. I think they have a really easy non-conference. But this should be one of those teams that we talk about at the end of the season, finding a really nice spot here in the NCAA tournament.